Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. The United States' renewed focus on Greenland has reignited international debate over sovereignty, security, and power in the Arctic. President Donald Trump's appointment of Special Envoy Jeff Landry has sharpened tensions with Denmark, raised concerns within the EU and NATO, and drawn global attention to the island's strategic importance. Joining us now to analyze it all is Rasmus Gjedssø Bertelsen, Professor of Northern Studies at UiT, Arctic University of Norway. Good to have you with us here on TVP World.
Thank you very much.
Professor, let's start with, these are the latest quotes from President Trump. I'm quoting here, "We need it for national security, we have to have it." So this is nothing new. We've heard stuff like this before. But then again, is this just political rhetoric in your mind? Is this a direct threat? How should we interpret the words of the president?
Well, it's almost like a cat playing with a mouse. I mean, the reality is that the kingdom is deeply dependent on the United States. Europe is dependent on the United States. And of course, the reality is that the United States can more or less do whatever it wants.
All right, it can do whatever it wants, but I mean, at the same time, and we do have a functioning rules-based order in the world. So I mean, at this point, we have allies concerned. So I mean, what does Europe do next here? I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric coming from the United States that this is something that America needs. Surely that can't be the case.
I mean, this has, of course, been a very pressing issue, especially for the Kingdom of Denmark, since early this year, and it came up back in 2019. And as I've said on earlier occasions, that from a political science or economics point of view, President Donald Trump's desire to incorporate Greenland in the United States, it does not make much sense, because the Kingdom of Denmark has throughout the Cold War has been a very loyal ally of the United States, and the Kingdom of Denmark has usually given the United States anything it asked for concerning Greenland. So, for example, in the late 1950s and the 1960s, the Danish government lied to the Danish public, the Greenlandic public, about having allowed the United States to have nuclear weapons in Greenland. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to imagine that the Kingdom of Denmark and that the government of Greenland would not be highly obliging to the United States militarily, economically today. I think about two things concerning Donald Trump's interest in Greenland. I mean, one thing is Donald Trump's personality, which is a personality question. There we are in the domain of psychology, not political science. And the other question is, as I say, this power imbalance and dependency between Europe and the United States, where the United States can act pretty much as it wants towards the Nordic countries, towards Europe. And we probably have had a growing power imbalance between the United States and Europe for some time. And more ordinary American political leaders, they did not abuse that power imbalance that way. Now we have a different president with a different administration. And perhaps, there are less restraints, much less restraints on using that power imbalance between Europe and the United States. Mm-hmm. And of course, the United States using military or economic coercion against other countries, that is, of course, nothing new. That happens all the time in the world. We are not the object of that coercion in the Nordic countries or in Europe.
Also, interesting point you made that there has been a level of cooperation between the Kingdom of Denmark, Greenland, and the United States when it comes to also placing, I think, certain strategic assets. If we're looking at, there's already images we've shown earlier. Vice President Vance was in Greenland. There's a U.S. base there. So there are certain strategic interests already in Greenland. At the same time, I want to just ask your opinion and your expertise. If we're looking at the wording as well, Donald Trump has often said, I think he said this yesterday as well, that there is countless, in his words, lots of ships, Chinese and Russian ships all across that area near Greenland. I mean, how true is this? And if anything, how much of this is just rhetoric and a message to China and Russia?
As far as I know, it's simply not true. As far as I know, there are no Russian or Chinese ships in this area. But I think, President Trump, he is, shall we say, a very creative person. So I don't think this claim has any validity in reality. And concerning signaling to China or Russia, I mean, of course, both China and Russia, they are used to relationship with the United States based on relative power, where it's relative power that dictates outcomes, that either side goes as far as it has the power to do. So I think the only people in the world who are surprised by what is happening is perhaps the Nordics and the Europeans, because perhaps the rest of the world lives, concerning the United States, the rest of the world lives in a world of power relationships and where relative power dictates outcomes. And when it comes to the European-American relationship, the transatlantic relationship, that has not been the case, and where Europeans have not, until now, we have not felt the consequences of this power gap. And perhaps we are being treated like other people are being treated, and that's very surprising to us.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious about the fact that, Trump seems to speak over the top of the heads of the Danes, and even so the Greenlanders. He says this is something that he needs, that America needs for international security, etc. But in practical terms, who here is really speaking for Greenland? It's still part of the Kingdom of Denmark. They've had their own local elections, but at the same time, it seems to be that who is now going to speak for Greenland itself in all this?
Well, the political constitution is very clear. So you have the Kingdom of Denmark and Greenland, and also the Faroe Islands for that sake, but they're not relevant in this context. Greenland is a self-governing overseas autonomy of the Kingdom of Denmark, and the constitutional political relations between Denmark and Greenland are very clear. And Denmark recognizes Greenland's right of self-determination. Denmark recognizes that the Greenlanders are a people under international law with the right of self-determination. And that is, of course, what both the Danish government and the Greenlandic government, what they are very clear about, that the Greenlanders are Greenlanders. They're not Danish, they're not American. They want to be Greenland moving towards ever greater and eventually full independence from the Kingdom of Denmark, and that is solely up to the Greenlanders to decide. And now you have a picture of Inatsisartut, which is the parliament of Greenland, and of course Greenland has a perfectly well-functioning democratic system, perfectly well-functioning parliament, municipalities. So the Greenlandic political system is perfectly suitable, perfectly capable of expressing the desires and views of the Greenlandic people.
And all this, I mean, it's much to analyze all at once, but I'm just curious, I mean, if we see this escalate anyway, just give us briefly your takeaway in the next few months. Where do you see this flashpoint going? Pressure economically, politically? How do you see this resolve itself or not resolve itself in the next few months?
Well, I mean, I started with the image of the cat and the mouse, and that is the unpleasant truth. I mean, the unpleasant truth is that there is practically nothing, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Nordic countries, Europe, there's nothing we do to deter this kind of behavior from the American side. So the American side can, like the Trump administration, can turn the pressure up and down at will. And that is an incredibly unpleasant truth for the Kingdom of Denmark, Nordic countries, for Europe. But I don't see any way that the Danish, Greenlandic, Nordic, European side can deter what the United States is doing. And I mean, we have, as I say, Denmark has been and continues to be a very, very loyal ally of the United States. Denmark has just ordered F-35s. I mean, Denmark, we can neither deter the Trump administration from doing this, nor can we satisfy.
I mean, there's a lot of different things. I'm sorry to jump in. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but there's many things here still to discuss. But look, thanks for giving that insight on this vital topic. Really appreciate it. That was our guest here today, Rasmus Bertelsen, Professor of Northern Studies. Thanks. And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary.